I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I followed this bus, and we can't find it. We end up in the residential area, and long story, finally we paid it with the notice and whatever. But if you don't have a smartphone, I mean, you should have no business trying to find these.
Anyways, this is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors at the Mitchell County Courthouse. Today is Tuesday, November 26, 2019. Thank you for everybody here in attendance. It is 8:30. We have an agenda here in front of us. We would like to change, we're going to put what is on there, number 8, approve the revised redistricting. We're going to shove it up between 3 and 4, so we'll call it 3.5. Other than that, do we have any other changes or issues with it?
Just for a note next week to talk about the McIntyre. that we
Correct.
have here.
Next board meeting next week, we'll discuss that on the Sloan property.
And can we also put down next week to talk about committees? I don't see much for changes, other than I see there's about 6 that don't have alternates, and so maybe we can discuss them. I know I'm gonna offer to take 3, I'm hoping Stan will take the other 3, because you already have too many alternates.
Okay, we'll work that in then.
Oh, Lowell, could you also send me the committee list? And then I can maybe update what I'm thinking on there, I'll put it in red, so that way, you know, you can decide if you agree with the changes or not. And after the meeting, you can decide.
So with them changes,
I would, so move to accept the agenda
Second?
with that slight change.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Approve the minutes of November 19th meeting and the claims. So, did everybody read the minutes and look through the claims, if there was any issues? If not,
Also move to accept the minutes and the claim.
Second?
Barb has made a motion, Stanley has seconded, roll call, Barb,
Aye.
Stan,
Aye.
Smolak, aye. County Attorney, general discussion. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. I'm just gonna go through my stack here. Russ Kephart, you guys are, somebody's working on getting the bills paid and all that stuff.
What, is this in my head, or didn't Jason originally offer to do it for no pay?
I don't think so.
Where
Well,
did I hear that? I
he
know
was-
I heard that somewhere.
he was going to do,
Okay.
it wasn't going to be, well, it wasn't at no cost, but,
But we got a large bill.
well,
It's a lot more than I expected.
nothing is done for free.
Oh, I know, except that he said that he would, I thought.
Well,
I don't ever remember saying that he would do it for free. But that's just me. I mean, maybe he had different conversations with somebody else.
yeah,
And I did not get that directly from him.
well,
I thought, Steve, when you were first talking about it, that that's what you mentioned.
well, he would do it,
Because he would, if he did it for free, then he would be able to, if he made any money off it, he'd be able to keep it.
the stuff there had to be returned back into the county, you know, the metal, so.
Is that turned back?
That's the way it's supposed to be being handled in my head,
That's the receipts we're looking for right now.
yeah. So, but nothing is done free, but,
No, I didn't expect totally free, but didn't expect that bill either.
no, I didn't either. But we've put some smiles on some people's faces, and we accomplished what we needed to do.
They better be smiling for over $18,000.
Well, hopefully the way it works out is, you know, it goes to tax sale, the county gets it, the county sells it to the church for the $20,000 or $25,000, and then the county's not
Recoup.
recouping.
Yeah,
Or-
it just takes time.
Or Russ comes in and pays it.
Yeah, he has that ability, he can do that.
Yeah,
So-
it'll all work out, I know, in the long run.
Every time you do one of these, it's kind of a learning experience. I guess the next time is we get written contracts ahead of time. This is how much
Yeah,
you're gonna
I think
charge,
that
and
would
this
be
is how much
wise.
you estimate it's gonna be, and so.
Yeah.
Okay. This FEMA funding that you had sent out, has everyone looked at that, had a chance to look at that?
I did, I didn't print it out because it was so many pages.
The personally identifiable information, Casey looked at that, he said, that's okay, that's more of a computer issue that I wouldn't know about. The resolution doesn't look anything out of the ordinary. The ordinance, I know, has to be completed with all the,
That's the other one, that one's something that we can look at in the near future. I don't think they're looking at that because we didn't have anything that needed replacing to that magnitude.
okay,
But if we end up getting into a situation where we lose a bridge or we lose most of a road, paved road or whatever,
okay,
what it's saying is they only pay for to put back what was originally in place. So if we've got, like I said, a wooden bridge that's 18 feet wide, they're only gonna fund an 18-foot wide wooden bridge, and then obviously we can't put something that smaller, that tight back in, so all the extra costs are going, unless we have a policy, an ordinance that says this is how we're replacing our structures and our roads.
okay.
But once we have that, even through our normal paving and maintenance operations, we've gotta stick to that type of policy.
Okay.
I don't think it's very restrictive, but, if we don't have anything passed, they won't pay.
Here's my opinion. Let's not wait for something to happen.
No, I know.
Let's-
Right, no.
Let's you and I
'Cause-
meet in the near future.
That's fine, because they've been wanting these for the last 5 years, and I know that it's never been really kind of something that in the past has been wanting to be passed, but I don't wanna wait until we have a disaster such that we start losing things and then we can't get paid what we need.
So there's a resolution, there's a policy, and then there's the ordinance. The resolution's easy, just put it on the agenda. The policy's easy, just put it on the agenda. The ordinance, once Rich and I get that done, we'll distribute it out to everybody, then that's gotta go into the paper, public hearing. Then once it's adopted, then it's gotta be published in the paper. I don't see anything controversial about
This
it.
is just a regular platform that I think the Homeland Security came up with, and a lot of other counties are using it. It's there to be modified, we don't have to use what's in that, and we can modify it to our liking, as long as it's not overly restrictive or anything like that.
So it kind of makes me think of replacement value insurance versus what it's worth today
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean,
in a way, because chances are you are gonna want to put something.
Well, right, I mean, you can't legally put back in another 18-foot wide structure. The codes and the requirements are wider than that, so you're gonna have to put something bigger in, and you don't probably wanna put wood back in.
Right.
So you want something with a little bit more longevity, which is gonna cost more, so.
Yeah.
While you could look at it and say,
Good.
yeah,
Get
okay,
on
we're
it.
getting most of it paid for, the rest of it's gotta come out of our pocket, so.
Sure.
So we could do the ordinance and approve the ordinance and the policy next board meeting then?
I don't know if we'll get it,
No, ordinance is a long drawn out deal. First, Rich and I are gonna have to meet, then you have to set a date for a public hearing, then we have to publish notice in the paper, then you have to have a public hearing. So ordinance is months away yet,
We can do a
Three
resolution.
readings of the ordinance.
unless you waive, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the resolution that we can do.
And the policy.
the procurement policy and the other
Okay.
thing are what we need to hopefully get our funding for this last one.
So why don't we put the resolution, let me think, the procurement policy is just a policy. I think those we can put on, correct?
Yeah.
Let's put those on for next week.
Hey, that's,
See, Steve, this is why, like, the ATV thing, we done it as a resolution, because if we wanted to next week, not allow ATVs on our county roads, we could basically by resolution say, nope, we're not no longer. But if it was by ordinance, we'd have to go through this whole long affair that would take, at least 4, 5, 6 weeks
At least.
at least.
I got one of the three screwed up. Anyways, I meant policy. Yes, it was
Just remember,
We can
ordinance,
do that next
ordinance, at least 6 to 8 weeks, minimum.
I knew you were talking about you had to go through the discussion on it and work it out, so next week we can do the policy and resolution. Okay,
Clarence Martin with the, Brownville Wildlife Area Bower Edition, I sent you copies of the letter that was sent out to him. Haven't heard anything from him.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Raymond Pletzker Medical Bill. This probably is something that's not ringing a bell with you guys. It was 2 months ago when we last discussed it.
Yep.
Mitchell County took in on an arrest warrant, somebody from the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin had an arrest warrant. He had to go to the hospital. There was a $1,934.50 bill. We sent him a letter, or the county sheriff a letter. He sent a letter back saying, we're not gonna pay it. I sent him another letter saying the Iowa code says you're supposed to pay it. But we'll, just in, to resolve this matter, we'll take half of it. Have not heard word one. I guess the question to the Board of Supervisors and to Sheriff Beaver is, how do you want to handle it?
What would be your recommendation?
I've got mixed emotions, okay? One is, I hate to see one sheriff's department suing another sheriff's department, because you guys like, sheriff's departments like to work together, they don't want to be butting heads. On the other hand, I don't like the way they're treating us. I mean, to not even respond to the letter, it just isn't acceptable, in my opinion. This may be something that even if we sue them, we never collect on. It's a question whether you want to spend good money chasing bad,
No.
Mark, is it possible to make the threat of suing but not go through with it?
I can send him one more letter. I mean, I just don't like the way they've treated Mitchell County. Do you?
I don't, I mean, it's the only time I've run into this. There is an outside possibility that they pay the hospital direct and didn't notify us of that.
But you paid it, the bill, right?
I have,
So they would have, the hospital would have contacted you and said,
well,
That all takes
I
time.
also got a bill from the hospital for an inmate from last week. It's the same bill with 2 different amounts. So, could be some human error in there, I guess is my point, but that's easy enough to check on, it's just a phone call to the hospital. But otherwise, no, I haven't had any contact with the sheriff's office in Wisconsin.
well, my advice right now is send him another letter saying, come on, guys. Implying that if we get another request from you guys, we're just not gonna hold the guy.
Well, not at that cost, forget it.
I mean, if it's murder, maybe, but if it's robbery or kidnapping, yeah, but if it's something like 50-degree bad check, or, we're just not gonna hold him for you. So, I'll send another letter and see what happens. Probably nothing.
That sounds good.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what's upsetting to me is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but if we had a warrant out for somebody in Wisconsin arrested them and they said, hey, we had a medical bill of $3,000, I think we would say, okay, let's pay it, wouldn't we?
And we have. I mean, that's
I mean,
just
right
what
is
you do.
right.
It's your responsibility, so you take care of it.
Yeah. So, that's all I have.
Okay, Mark, well, I'll let you send another letter and see what happens, and we'll work from there.
Okay.
Is there anything for Mark?
Other than if you want to go over this
Resolution,
resolution, if you have any
As well.
questions for me.
the county social service one.
I guess that would be right in line, so. give a little discussion on that?
This has to do with us going to one employer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's basically what it is, and they had county social services had given us just a sample of one that we could write up, and Mark wasn't comfortable with it, and so he came up with one that we, after you read it, you can decide if you're comfortable with. I am.
Yeah. I think it's passable, so.
Passable. It's excellent. I stole it from Blackhawk County with the
You
few
know,
changes.
we are finding that a lot of things we're stealing from Blackhawk County, even with county social services, of
Yeah.
things they're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, the only thing I changed from theirs is their resolution says they're going to do this effective January 1st, and then, and we will do it and mine just says we're doing it now, but to be effective January 1st. So we don't have to do another resolution in the future, actually making it effective.
Okay, and technically, yes, everything starts January 1st.
Okay, so do I have any motions to approve resolution? What would be the number of this resolution?
I'll put a number on it later.
Okay,
I'll certainly move to approve this.
Second?
Barb has made a motion, Stanley has seconded. Roll call, Barb.
Aye.
Stanley.
Aye.
Smollett, aye. So, we have approved the social services resolution, transitioning to one board. So, other than that then, we can move on down to approved revised redistricting plan. So thank you, Mark.
Yep. Takes me a while to get out of the way.
Rita, I will let you have the floor. Good morning.
Mike and I are here to represent the changes that were needed. We get feedback from the state, and the districts do not change. However, we needed to make some changes in the precincts, which affected districts 1 and 2. And to sum up, the wards needed to be separate from the township. And the way I thought that through is, if you think about it, the ballots look different. So those are the changes that I'm going to present this morning. And so what I thought I'd do was focus on the changes instead of the whole document. So I started out with the visual of the map, and of course so it seems to simplify that. And then we have 2 additional precincts, which are 11 and 12. And because the change we needed to make is to separate Osage Township from the wards. So I'll start out with the visual, and then I thought I would step through. The next thing you should see is your descriptions. Mine are highlighted in yellow, so I can talk to what the changes are. So for District 1, what we have is the first district consists of the following precincts. Precinct 2, which is Ward 2, so mainly the name Precinct 2 changed on that. This is the document of description. You all have that? Yep. This is the one we're looking at. Okay. And then Precinct 3, again, it was the precinct that changed that, Osage Ward 3. And then our additional precinct is Precinct 11, which is part of Osage Township and part of Cedar Township. So again, that is, when you see these darker lines, that represents the township. So here we are with Osage, and then this part of Cedar Township. District 2 is Precinct 1, so that's Osage, Ward 1, and Precinct 4. Again, it was the precinct number that changed, Osage, Ward 4, and our new precinct, which is Precinct 12. So again, that's in this part. And that is part of Osage Township and part of West Lincoln Township and the city of Orchard. So that is the only changes that we are resubmitting on this first page of the Mitchell County description. On page 2, so we've got our precinct descriptions on page 2. So again, for precinct 1, the only thing that is in precinct 1 is the boundaries of Ward 1 in the city of Osage. Precinct 2 is only Ward 2. Precinct 3 is only Ward 3. And precinct 4 is only Ward 4.
And Rita, this all ends up okay population-wise?
It doesn't, the population doesn't matter for the precincts. It only matters for the
Gotcha.
district. We did have, I'm gonna point you then to precinct 6 and 7, it is, we had, a typo, I guess I'd say it, it was, what was submitted was 2015 for a population, block, or census block, and it was really supposed to be 2105, so it ended up being, changed or encompassed with 2102 through 2117. So that, again, like I said, and to be honest, doing these descriptions was the hardest part of this process, because it's all manual, you know, so, and when you, the way we do these is, again, like precinct 6 and 7, they're related, because one will say except, but you always use the same numbers, the same census blocks, the same precincts, so 7 reflects that same change, so it'll say 2102 through 2117. That corrected the typing error of the numbers.
Okay, and so the other one, in
Is
precinct 6 was already corrected on here?
Precinct 7?
Yeah, I got that, but was precinct 6 already changed?
They
and
are
on here?
corrected,
Okay,
yes, you've got the
it.
corrected versions, and I'm
Okay, excellent.
yes. And that one was kind of hard to find, just because it ended up being one of those through, you know, instead of listing all the individual census blocks. I'm gonna jump down first to precinct 11 and precinct 12, and those are the ones, as I said, are our new precincts. So basically what we needed to do was to take everything that we had, you know, in the other precincts and move them into precinct 11. So I'm not going to read through the census blocks, I hope you're okay with that, but it contains that part of Osage Township, which is west of the city of Osage. I've listed the census blocks, and it's referred to, and that's where we also talk about the section numbers, so we've got our section numbers listed. And then that part of Cedar Township, again, listing the census blocks and the section numbers. And we also will note if it's part of a section, which you'll find part of a section's in the city of Osage, part of it is in the township. Precinct 12 contains that part of Osage Township east of the city of Osage. And again, we list the census blocks that are involved, the sections, and then the part of the sections which would be shared with the east side of Osage. And then we do have a clause in there, again, because we've got that, except that part of West Lincoln Township, you know, we use the except, so it's, we listed located east of Highway 218, so the main thing again is we've got to designate our West Lincoln Township, and that precinct also includes the city of Orchard. Since we changed that portion, since, you know, we split West Lincoln Township, that did in fact that affected the verbiage in precinct 10, because we had to go back and say except that part of Cedar Township. So I thought it was easier if we went through and talked about the new precincts, and then we did have to correct precinct 10 to reflect that change as well.
So move to approve.
Just a second, I'm not done. I got one more. So, the last form that you have, which is the one I believe you need to sign and submit. That's one you submitted before. I know these other things do get submitted, the description gets submitted. I believe the map, I'm not sure if you sent the map or not, but anyway, I wanted to step through that as well, because on page one, we had to change to reflect, we have 12 precincts. Page 2 designates, that we needed to take the population of the unincorporated portion, we need to move that down to 0, and reflect only the population of the incorporated portion, which is the third column, which, again, the total population remains the same. So those changes will be submitted in this form. Then our new precincts, 11 is the unincorporated portion, so that's the 369. And then precinct 12 is reflected in Osage Township of 281. And then the city of Orchard is reflected in the population of unincorporated portion, changing that to 352. These numbers do add up again to 10,776. But other than that, the rest of the forms, there were no changes because, as I said, it didn't affect our district. The changes affected our precincts. So that's the resubmission that we will be making to the state.
Thank you, Rita. Mike? I don't know how the state kicked this because this is tough being local, and I'm trying to understand this. How did they see the issue here?
Well, really, when you think about it, that is their job, so, I'm sure with their GIS, I'm sure that they're, moving around and putting those boundaries and then summing up the, finding the precincts. But like I said, it took us longer to verify all the numbers than making the change. I think that's, the time-consuming thing, because again, this description for us,
Your committee needs to be commended. This is a
Yes.
pretty
Thank you.
awesome task.
Anyways, Stanley has made a motion already. I'm sure you still have your motion out there, Stan, right?
I'll second.
Barb has seconded. Roll call, Stanley.
Aye.
Barb.
Aye.
Smollett, aye. So we've approved the redistricting plan, and hopefully the state of Iowa will approve it.
Rita, should we wait until we get back from the state to contact Penny?
I think that makes sense to me. We
And
can
I'll
get
just
both our-
tell her that,
Yep. That's what we have said about the paper as well, we need to make sure
yep,
it's approved.
because she could have everything printed out and it might be changed.
All righty, thank you, Rita and Mike. We will move on here. Number 5, Sheriff's Department update.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So don't have a whole lot for you. Currently holding 3. We had 12 Saturday and Sunday. We held for a transportation company that moves inmates across the country, and they were in our area, so I said, yeah, we'll hold for you, but bring me cash, and they did. So they were in most of the day Saturday and Sunday, and gone late Sunday afternoon, so jail staff was busy. We're gonna get busy, I think, tomorrow and through the holidays, I suppose, with the weather, but it's winter time, so that's not a big deal. I do have something though that I wanna run past the board, kinda get your guys' thoughts on it, some ladies' thoughts on it. I've got an employee that continually goes above and beyond what is expected of her. She answers the phone 5 in the morning, comes to work at 5 in the morning when she's on a day off, answers the phone in the middle of the night, does things at the sheriff's office that is not part of her job description. She's been doing it for years. And I wanna award her, I guess, for doing a good job. Can't give her a raise, but I was wondering if I could go get X amount of dollars in chamber bucks and give them to her at Christmas time. Now, I asked Mark about if there was anything legally wrong with that. I'm able to do that. He said as long as you stay within your budget, you're okay. It's not a problem legally. What are you guys' thoughts on something like that?
What was your thinking on dollar amount?
Yeah,
$50 or $100? I'm flexible.
I think that would be a lovely idea.
How about we think about it 1 week? The only reason being, again, is past experience, we've sometimes approved some things that the following week I mean, just.
Well, I just want your thoughts, I guess.
Yeah.
If you think it's a bad idea, say so.
I don't see a problem with it.
Well, I say that just as soon 1 week, let us give
Well,
it some thought.
You have time to still get something, so
Yeah, I do. I'm not in
we
any
can
hurry.
let
but
you know next week.
I want you to
Yeah.
give me your feedback, I guess.
Yeah.
Or if you have something else that we can do, because you've always said, you know, we need to reward our good people and keep them, and I wanna do that. I have never done that. And it's
No, I mean,
certainly
initially I have no problem, but it's still, I'd like to have 1 week to,
I like the idea, and I like the idea of keeping it locally. I'm wondering, would we ever have a complaint that you didn't spread it around in the other towns? I don't know. But they don't really have chamber dollars, so.
Well, I can deal with that easy enough, if there would ever be a complaint, but I don't see that coming. But I can handle that without a problem. So,
No, I don't see an issue with it,
I'll be here next Tuesday.
have a week to think
Yeah.
about it.
We can talk about it. Maybe you'll have something, maybe you have a better idea, you know, and I'm open. So, just, we need to do something more,
That's
Yeah.
nice.
so.
Okay,
Outside of that, I guess I don't think I have anything, so.
I don't have anything.
how many you holding today?
We have 3 this morning.
Or,
Actually, the same 3, they're all in probation violations. And they're long-term because they're waiting for district court, and that's every 2 weeks. So, yeah. Okay. that's all I
Thank
have.
you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Did you spend any money this weekend?
Oh, no, I didn't. Walked away from a few things.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll have a easy week here too.
Yeah, we will.
We'll see what Mother Nature gives us. But,
We'll handle it. Have a
All
great
right.
weekend.
You
Good
too.
Thanksgiving.
yes, have a good week.
All right, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
thank you.
Wisconsin, 1968.
Something like that, it's just under 2,000.
Okay. Moving on, county engineer update, Richard.
A short list of not very much of anything right now. I know the guys are out putting snow fence up and we're gearing up for whatever might come our way, so.
You're having fun in the mud down.
Well, the farming and the weather hasn't been conducive to anything, so it's last minute, but they'll try to get what they can in. I know a lot of some of the farm work isn't done yet, but in places we can get some snow fence in, they're trying to get it done today. So, I know we're shipping out our 2 trade-in trucks, get them out of our way today too, so. We're in the yard up a little bit for some. We've got about 700 tons of salt that got delivered here a couple weeks ago, so. We're ready for anything. I mean, you never know until you start getting out there and start pushing whether things break, but everything's ready to go to start with, so.
Your fingers crossed, maybe
Yeah.
you don't have to use much salt.
Maybe, but, anything for me, I don't have a whole lot to discuss.
Well,
this
just for
one.
the board, I talked to Engineer Brum yesterday. A couple of weeks ago, I drove a bus to Algona, about 4 or 5 miles east of Algona. You cross the UP tracks, or not the UPCP, Canadian Pacific tracks, they have yield signs up. All of ours are stop signs, and I'd like to be able to have him try to convince the railroad to put yields instead of stops.
So, I don't know, it's gonna take me a little bit of time to find a contact for the CP that deals with that. the other thing is typically, and I don't know that this happened, I haven't been able to find anything yet, but the railroad just doesn't come in and throw signs in without board approval, because if there are stop signs, they have to be resolute, otherwise they aren't really legal. So I'd like to find some information that says they were resolute as stop signs and then go from there. I don't know how they did this, this was done.
Maybe
years
there were
ago.
some accidents at the time.
Well, a lot of, what's happened it seems like throughout the years, they've been cleaning up a lot of intersections and making visibility a lot better for trains versus cars. So, maybe when they had signs put in, they had poor visibility, and then over time, they've cleared brush and made visibility better for.
No, it seems like both CP and the CN, I mean, when I first started, neither one of them had stop signs or yield signs on the tracks.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they both did. Well, then,
And that could have been an initiative from the railroad industry
then the
itself.
CN changed theirs from stop signs to yield signs here maybe 8-10 years ago. And they done that on their own. They never came to the board and asked.
Well, I wasn't here when that happened. So.
Wasn't there something to do with the ethanol that they were carrying?
I have no idea, but all I know
Don't this
is,
track that you're referring to carry ethanol?
They probably all do anymore, but.
I have no idea
I
again.
was thinking in my
But,
Well, the
small
CP comes
mind
from the
that-
Mona area, which is from the,
but I mean, by Algona and that,
oh, sure.
but you have all of that, stuff at Garner. I mean, there's all kinds of tank cars at Garner,
Yeah.
two different,
I don't know where they came up with the idea. I know that, I always like to say that the cross bucks on a rail crossing are stop, look, and listen, you don't need, it's the way it was taught to you in driver's ed, but people don't read signs anymore, so now they've gotta go to other extremes, and I know that people blow stop signs at railroad crossings too, and so,
Well,
I know it's a safety thing, but, and Stan has requested it, I guess, I'll do some digging, I don't have a whole lot of, I'm not prioritizing right that, I've got a lot of other things that are pushing right now, but I'll try to get a contact, and I'll do some digging on whether there was ever a resolution that was passed, because it seems to me there would have been in order to plant these signs along every intersection with the rail crossing.
well, Lowell would have those resolutions, wouldn't you, Lowell?
Yeah.
You wanna look and see if there's a resolution?
And we have no idea, I don't know when the timeline was when they started putting those in. I mean, it was,
I don't know, 10, 12 years ago?
well, it was before I got here, I know that,
yeah.
and that'd be more than 10 years ago.
Maybe they found people were ignoring the
I mean,
yield
it was,
signs.
Well, at any rate, I
Didn't
know,
have anything up previously.
yeah, and it was probably a safety initiative on their end as far as the
Yeah.
railroad companies are concerned, obviously, because you
Just
don't
in-
usually win that battle. But.
Just in my head, it had something to do with the ethanol plants, but that could be totally wrong.
And I'll do some digging too, like I said, I'll just,
I do have something for you,
Yep.
Richard. With our social services building remodel, we discussed acquiring a storage unit.
Mhm.
Okay. 20-footers will fit us,
okay,
but it'll take two. That, their cost is like $2,200 a piece. They have a 40-foot unit at $2,300 a unit. Our problem is what's your thoughts? Two 20-footers will work better for us, but fiscally, 140, what's your thought on it? Being that you're going to acquire when we're done with the storage unit, you will acquire it out at the road department.
I don't know that would really matter either way. I just thinking outside the box a little bit, I know Jim's got a lab that's a portable, a movable trailer, but you could always partition a 40-foot trailer too and figure out ways to put a door. I mean, the paving people have those 40-foot semi-trailers and they're making labs and control. I don't know, it doesn't, fiscally it seems like the 40-footer would be more reasonable. Where do you
Okay, now we're referring to great big giant steel shipping units.
Mhm.
This isn't going to be a
Right.
semi-trailer.
Right.
It's going to be a steel, it's gonna have great big giant door, the two of them that you open up.
how soon you need to know, cause I can always talk to maintenance and find out whether there's a need for something that big too. I can go talk to the guys, say, if we had a 40-foot steel cargo container, would we fill it? We probably would, but, you know, it's like a shed.
Well, here's the
You
thing.
never have them big enough, but even,
I think we need, if we get the 20 footers, we're gonna need 2 of them.
right,
That's $4,400. But if we get the 140, it's $2,300 plus shipping it here. That,
Right.
here, what's your thought?
Well,
I'd go with the 40-footer.
they don't start until the 1st of January, correct?
Yeah, but that's just a hop, skip, and a jump
I
away.
understand that, but he asked if he could have a week.
No, that's fine. If you want my answer, I think the 40-footer is a little bit more economical. Why do you say that 220s is better than 140? Just
Their area to
storage?
put it in
to put
over
it in?
there. So you're really, a 40 would be fine?
You know, you can never have too much storage that's covered. I mean, we could be storing some posts and stuff that aren't always exposed to weather before we put them in the ground. I mean, there's plenty of things we can do with a big trailer like that.
Correct. Well, like David discussed, David and I are working on it. If you need something and it's 40 foot to the back and you've got, you know, that's, yeah, visit with Merlin. see
Yeah,
what
'cause
you
we can
think.
always, you can always cut a
But
door
here's,
into it.
here's David's and my question
Sure.
is, one way.
Because you want to store it on site, is that what you guys want to do?
We're
Store
gonna
it?
store them right there, and then when we're done, and it'll take a couple loaders, and you'll have to bring the flatbed out, pick them up. But financial wise, it's 4,400 one way and 2,300 another way, so that's my question to you,
Okay.
is whatever you think.
I'll come back with an answer.
Alrighty,
I mean, I think that either way you go will make work. But if I'm looking at dollars and cents, I just think the bigger one has the same amount of storage for less
Alright.
money.
I'll discuss that with David here and next
You need
week.
someplace to store it. I mean, if you don't want to store it on site, you can always,
Well, they wanna just roll the
They wanna be able
stuff
to
right,
get in and
take it
out.
right in, open up the door, it's there.
I get it.
So there's,
At least it's only temporary, that would
it's
be it.
temporary, but the people we're buying them from delivers them, sets them down,
Okay,
and that's it.
okay.
Once
Well,
we've got 'em,
Two are easier to move than one big one, obviously, too, but, you know, I don't think that our equipment couldn't, you get 2 loaders on one end and you back a truck underneath, you couldn't load it
all
right,
right,
too.
I'll
Let
visit.
me,
Yeah.
I'll
you-
visit with the guys and see if it'd be easier to have 2 versus 1, dollars and cents wise, if you got the same area.
Well, again, like David brought up, you need something in a 40-foot trailer, but it's clear to the back and you've got it full of stuff, maybe 220s is the better route.
My organization in my head
I-
means there's an aisle down the middle to get to it,
Yeah,
but,
so this is,
okay.
we're up trying to figure an answer out.
Yep,
Go visit with Merlin.
I'll do that. See
Else?
what the mechanics and the other guys think.
All right, thank you.
You
That
bet.
makes sense, your little aisle.
Yeah. Partition it off and put a door in each end, I guess it's not tough. We got torches and we got welders.
That's true too. All righty. Well, come back next week.
Refresh.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Yes,
You
you
too, Rich.
too.
Call if you need.
Thank you, Rich. Now, approve the annual TIF reports. Rachel, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I have to do the annual urban renewal report and the new tip independence that need to be signed.
You even need a telephone number, huh?
And that's the report, I don't know.
So this basically allows us to utilize TIF this next year, is that correct?
The one paperwork he's signing is, that lists the 2019A and 2019B that we inquired.
That what?
That we inquired this last year. Jeff Howell helped me fill it out. The second page, on there just says what it is and how much.
We need a motion on that, okay?
Correct.
So moved.
Stanley, you wanna look at this? Stanley has made a motion,
I'll second.
Barb has seconded. Roll call, Stan,
Aye.
Barb,
Aye.
Smollett, aye. Hopefully, did you wanna see this, Barb?
Yes, please.
Now, this goes in with paying off our
10 bonds that we own.
So it has each expense on there, or what we paid from last fiscal year, so 18-19.
Okay,
So it's the annual report.
Yep.
It goes to the Department of Management.
And it was the first year that we had paid on the 2 rebates for Osage Elevator. Absolutely.
perfect. Any questions? Anybody out there in the audience?
I have two
Steve?
others.
Got a question?
It's just sort of, maybe some figures, that's all I would.
Well, I'll let you get in touch with Rachel afterwards.
Probably that one I just asked for a copy of, maybe that would be a good one to give her.
So the urban renewal area indebtedness not previously certified is $4,187,491.
I'll talk to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rachel. We approved it. I guess that wasn't as tough as we were thinking it was going to be.
I think she was nervous too.
I was nervous because I didn't really understand it. Items of note, meetings attended. Barbara, would you like to start again?
North Iowa Community Action. We covered a lot of things in less than 2 hours. I mean, those people talk so fast, I'm like, whoa. We discussed where their funding comes from, federally, the Department of Health and Human Services, Agriculture, and the Treasury. State funds come from the Department of Education, Human Services, and Public Health. And then they get cash donations and in-kind services. We provided 57 homes with home maintenance or improvements in 2019, and 5,185 households received utility assistance. iSmile provided 2,562 kids with oral health screens and offered dental sealants. Women, infant, and children, in other words, WIC, provided nutrition services to 4,189 individuals monthly. The list goes on, but it equaled out to about 1 in 12 people are being served in one way or another by North Iowa Community Action. And for our supervisor district meeting, we haven't had this meeting yet, but I'm offering to write up a synopsis of what we've done this year. So I wrote something up I want you guys to look at and make changes or add or give back to me by next meeting. And then I have more committees to talk about. As you can see, I thought of one yesterday morning. I haven't had time to change it. And then we'll keep through it too, because you might think of things even to add. Okay. Home health, we discussed using one, hopefully 2 offices on the east side of the building when the remodeling in January through April takes place. The 2-room would be only if Prairie Ridge waits until after the remodel to come in. Hopefully that'll happen. October expenses were mostly higher than the revenues due to money yet to come in from the VA and flu shot reimbursements. VA in the state of Iowa has changed its insurance carriers 3 times in the last 2 years, leading to complications, and I'm sure Charlie is aware of some of that stuff. The HHCAHPS Honors Elite Award for health was received. It is stemmed by a survey that was actually done by the patients, and they had to, they were qualified by 19 different things. And regarding their home health improved performance plan, they wanted a 15% improvement with meds, and they've already gotten up to 10%, and so they're hoping to reach their goal by the end of the year. They received $1,200 from Shop on State, and I gave them more ideas for grants to go after. Amy Miller of Prairie Ridge spoke to us. We voted not to have a separate finance committee, but for Laura, the acting director, to show us comparisons of the last 2 years with explanations, and then we'll all discuss at the next meeting. Mark Ross informed us that Osage was honored for, apparently for their water fluoridation. And by the way, Dr. Ross has served on this board since 1989, which I thought was pretty awesome. And it sounds like he, even after he retires, might stay on it. Let's see.
So he has brought up the word.
Yes, we brought it up.
Okay.
So, because we didn't want to lose him. And he said, I can see myself finding time for this. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I also attended County Social Services stakeholder meeting in Grundy Center, and we went over expenditures which had dropped due to several variables such as rent dropping and residential care facilities dropping. We were at a rate of $29 per capita. We listened to several department updates. iStart, which is the high-risk, aggressive, at risk of being dropped, reduced their psychotic problems by 10%. And they're trying to get this supported by Medicaid. Someone from Disabilities told us that they try to transition and stabilize lives within 90 days. That might be a case of making sure they have a place to live and et cetera, and their mental health is stable. Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health is peer recovery zones, which is a smaller communities who might not have access to as many services. We also talked with brain injuries and jail alternative spokesperson, or just some of the few that shared information. I won't go into all of them. The jail alternative gal told us that 1 in 3, now this is interesting, in jail have mental illness. And so the need for lower income people to have lower bonds so that they can get out and actually get the help they need is something that we should probably encourage. A few of our goals are to lobby to get Medicaid reimbursement higher and to regularly adjust it. Help people before they need incarceration, which includes helping kids younger, and it was shared that some insurances do not even cover mental illness. And then last night I had an economic development meeting, and Tony will update us. I don't know if you're going to do anything today, Tony, or you're going to wait till you hear back on a few things. The big news for us is our office assistant is moving on to a full-time position in St. Ansgar, and we'll take applications for this flexible 30-hour position until the end of the year, and I, along with Rick Bodensteiner and Terry Burns, will serve on the interviewing committee.
Okay. Stanley, do you have anything you?
Last Thursday morning, we did have a Port Authority meeting. Basic thing that we discussed was we're having, I don't know, I really don't want to call it issues, but we've been submitting our stuff for reimbursement to the state of Iowa, and they seem to take forever to do any reimbursing. And so basically everything else is pretty much on hold. We're not doing anything other than, like I say, trying to get our reimbursement right now, and it's typical state of Iowa, so, that was the Port Authority. Last Thursday night, we had a progressive meeting. That's where, basically Lindsay Falk has started this, a couple of years ago. They're trying to set up 4 different committees. I forget what, 2 of them are right offhand, but, one is, interested in, conservation projects. Are there things in the county that, we ought to be trying to, look further into on conservation,
Would that be included
Recreation.
with recreation, yeah?
yeah, and the other one was housing daycare. And of the group that was there that night, there was probably 15 people that was at the meeting. Surprisingly, I thought there'd only be a couple of us that might be interested in housing daycare, and there was about 6 or 7 that wanted to be on that committee, because they really feel that both of these are very vital to
That is,
Mitchell County.
interesting that you had that many.
Well, I mean, and this is just, wasn't a commitment yet, it was kind of trying to feel out who was interested in what. But in January, we're actually gonna try to sit down and have commitments for the various 4 committees. And we'll be meeting at the Conservation Building out here in January. I think I wrote it down.
Well, you're looking it up, can I add that, the county supervisors, I hope some of you noticed, there was a newspaper article in the press from the Iowa Women's Federation, praising us for, helping out St. Ansgar with the daycare. Cause they had done extensive research in how daycare is such a problem in Iowa. And it's so important if we wanna keep our young people here and keep them employed and whatnot.
I thought I wrote it down, I didn't, but in January I'll be able to
Okay,
tell you
well.
what, so if any of you are interested in attending that, like I say, I think it was, the 3rd Wednesday, but I'm not sure.
To be honest, I depend on updates from you because I'm overwhelmed with how many things I go to now.
But it's surprising how many people are really interested in trying to promote something here in the county.
That's wonderful.
It is the 22nd. January 22nd.
Pardon?
January 22nd.
Okay, 22nd. That's my meeting.
That's your meetings, okay. I had FMC DCAT Governance Board meeting, November 20th. We voted on a new board chair, Linda Jaden. Our previous board chair, Judge McGee, has moved out. He's gone from this area, so we needed to vote in a new person. Linda Jaden was it. She is the Floyd County Supervisor. We reviewed for the year 20 contract expenditures. And we also discussed and approved the LSI for amendment for year 20. They did an IMH contract, which stands for Integrated Mental Health, and it was approved. The problem what we were having with on a previous meeting was the schools and pathways, which is another entity. They had to get together or they would lose benefits. The problem is FMC paid $125 a day, but I think there was another entity was putting money in there, and that it was causing a problem. It was considered double dipping. So they didn't want this to go on into the future. And Aaron Casella and Melissa, they are going to get together with the schools and pathways to kind of resolve this. gonna continue to do what we're doing now to the end of the year, but they wanna resolve it so that we don't have this thought of double dipping in the future. They had a JCS transfer, and that's juvenile court services. They approved that. Carryover of fundings and initiatives trainings for FMC, well, that kinda got shot in the foot. We didn't have we didn't go make a decision on that. We were supposed to have action, but we didn't. And, moving on, I had the Frank Cross trainings, April 22nd, or the week of, and they're gonna split that between Forest City and Webster City. And, monies for that was approved, and I think he got like $5,000 a meeting, plus expenses, room and board and stuff. They're setting up a reference for proposal for crisis child care contract, and they're gonna put that up for bid. This is going to allow to use it once a year for a 24-hour period. Charlie Brown had done this in the past. What this, the guy can talk and not say a darn thing. What this is for is if somebody comes from out of state, they don't have a lot of money, something happens and, well, they get caught stealing something. The mother and father get caught, they go to jail. So here you got young kids. What do you do with them? They're out of state. This way we have funding so that these kids can go to like Charlie Brown Daycare Center, and they are there for 24 hours, and that gives a chance for the parents to be released, or family members who are out of state can come and get them. So that the kids just ain't on limbo. Maybe that's more of an understanding. Anyways, that was our FMC DCAT governance meeting. And then we had a meeting right here in this room. This was with the social services gals and David. Casey, I think, was here. During the remodeling of the social services building, we discussed who went in the 2 available rooms. Also discussed that there is some available area in the courthouse if needed, Casey's old area. They also discussed that when come time, and we have our storage units there, that the basketball team or the wrestling team from the school could come, I think they said the 27th of December, could come, and you know how young kids are. Well, they would be moving desks and cabinets, anything that needed to be moved out of the building into these storage facilities.
Great idea.
Yeah. They also discussed they'll be removing the front desk and patching the wall, and Megan said she would bring in some chairs for people to sit in for that area. Also discussed they would run wires for security cameras after hours, so they're not bothering the workers in the building, and would also have emergency buttons that would alert the sheriff's office in the future when needed. Getting back to the containers, we talked about the 20-foot, $2,200, and the 40-footer would be $2,300. And moving on, we also discussed, after the remodel is done, some of the equipment, desks and cabinets, might not be needed, and they could be either sold to some of the gals or people there building, social services building, or employees of the county, or just plain throw it away. They're in that tough a shape, desks with legs falling off. Also discussed, and this would be something maybe I'd have to visit with Rich on, is signage for the building when the building is done. have some signs for each office, who's in there, and have a sign outside the building where it would kind of indicate where the the offices in the building and who's in them. Prairie Ridge, whatever, that would be a plus, I think. That way the public could see before they even get inside there what's in there. Other than that, that was my meetings. Moving on, transfers for secondary roads. And
One from general basic and one from rural basic. Just have to be noted.
so each of us have these,
Yes.
so noted. And is there public comments?
I'd like to make a public comment.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys can do anything about this, but I was sent to Garner to a meeting by Jim to cover for the paper. And I was shocked to find out that suicide among farmers, they believe, is as high or higher than veterans. And it was a wonderful program put on by this woman from ISU Extension and Outreach. And they coupled it with a farm bill meeting because she said, we cannot come in and just have that meeting, nobody will show up. But what was so amazing was she told the signs of suicide, what you can do to help if you find somebody that's in that position. And it was only about a half hour, 40 minutes, but I've never been in a meeting that's more informational on suicide.
That is very true from some of my committees and boards,
Huh?
from some of my boards and committees I've been on. Yes, that is true about farmers, and certainly one big reason would be, at the moment, statistics are saying for 2018, and so it's way worse for 2019, on average, they're in the hole $1,200. That's horrible.
The other man that spoke for the farm bill, see, they put it in with this farm bill meeting, so they had farmers there.
Sure.
And he said that farmers, 10% of them have their net worth problems and 10% have cash flow problems. But it would be great if they could bring that into this area, and maybe Darla can do that. I don't know. I'm sure Darla's been trained under that, because she was the first one.
I would think that'd be perfect for her to do something.
But you
on.
have to put it in with some other kind of meeting. She said nobody will come to it because of the stigma. But she
Right.
said she'd had people after the meeting come up and talk to her about stuff.
Well, it always helps to have family members aware of what to watch out with
Yeah,
each other.
to look for, yeah.
Yeah.
It will open your eyes when you're around other people. See them. That would just, I don't know what can be done about it. Maybe. you
I
have
think that
some
sounds really good
extension.
for Carla.
Yeah.
You might want to mention that, or Darla, excuse me. You might want to mention that to her.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Tony?
I did have a quick comment. At our previous meeting, one of our members had noted we had some cash sitting in an account that we didn't know what it was accounted for. Long story short is the supervisors about 8-9 years ago gave the EDC a loan for spec building development in the cities. And they went through the process twice. St. Ansgar built one and it was sold. The money came back to EDC, went back to Stacyville. They built one, were able to sell it, it came back. So the $150,000 is sitting in our account, but the note is due in either a year or two. And so we didn't really think it was appropriate to loan it out again for anything. We don't have anything on the docket. But the question is, from our board meeting last night was if there was an interest, maybe we could look at possibly renewing it and doing it again if there was interest in doing it. This is existing money that you guys gave the EDC, like I said, 8 or 9 years ago, so it's not new money.
So it's no longer a loan, it's money on hand.
Well, it's still a loan because you gave us a loan. We in turn were able to re-loan that out to the cities to do it. So our loan comes due next year.
To us.
And so we're due to give it back to you
next year. And so my board wanted me to find out if there was any interest. Lo and behold, I went to the EDC meeting this morning in St. Ansgar. They are researching the possibility of doing another spec building in their industrial park. So they expressed interest in this program one more time. And so I'll put it on the agenda to reconsider the next time, but I wanted to take it back to my board to tell them what I found first before I did. But I just want to give you a heads up. The odds are we'll probably be asking to refinance that note and maybe for an additional 10 years and to do the same thing again. So it was very fortuitous that they actually had on their agenda the very next day after my board meeting. So I just wanted you to know we'll probably be bringing that to you probably January, February on the agenda to look at doing that again. It worked twice, and they had actually were approached by Heartland for the possibility of doing one. So Heartland would also be participating in the program. So we'll need to look and see. I think the way it was worded before, it was dealing with the city. They kind of expressed the need that maybe it might be better if their EDC was allowed to participate rather than the city. So we'll maybe looking at that. But again, I'll bring that to you to see what the best vehicle to make that work would be.
And that was 189?
150.
150,000.
But this is money that's right now sitting in a bank.
Yeah.
The county itself isn't going to be borrowing for it.
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
You basically already gave us the loan, so it's your money. It's just sitting in our account, and with the ability to loan it out for another year or two. But both of the ones that were built took 4 years to get returned, so it wouldn't be responsible on our part at this point to loan it out, knowing that it could possibly come due before they can sell it. And so we'd rather have the flexibility of knowing, giving them the time to be able to market it, because it's taken about 3 to 4 years on average for the ones that were built to be sold. And so we don't want to have to come begging for an extension after the fact. We'd rather have that flexibility up front.
So this was a very good program, I believe. It done what it was supposed to do, and it can continue to do what it's supposed to do. Again, if there's a opportunity for entrepreneurs to come to the county, it helps our tax base, it helps our, and I realize our unemployment is very low, but it also gives people other opportunities for different types of employment. I would definitely recommend that myself personally that we renew it.
Just so you know too, even from an employment standpoint, you know, people talk about not wanting to bring in new business because the unemployment rate is already so low. We don't have people to do what we're doing already. The fact is, everybody is under the same boat, and we still have businesses looking at us, not on a daily basis by any means, but just to commend everyone, the work that went into doing the certified site has got us probably 3 or 4 looks from businesses just because it's a certified site. And we have one currently that came to us, looked at the certified site, liked it, but there were some issues. They had some other needs that they wanted, but because they already were looking at us, they were looking at some other sites within the county. But it was that certified site that got the initial interest. So that was good money spent. It's a good advertisement, if nothing else. It shows the ability to be proactive. So we have a couple businesses currently that are looking at us seriously for possible new industry, new business. So, and because of that. So it's good. There's some good things happening. Right now they're definitely low level, but because of having the certified site, it has helped us, put us on the map to have that. And I know there was some expense to do it, but it was well worth it. So. And just while we're talking, I will tell you, we still have $559,000 available in the housing, not the housing, the commercial construction incentive program. So at that rate, we will have, even without next year's allocation, we'll have an additional year. So maybe we can keep the program going for a little bit
longer than we thought, just 2 years, maybe go a full third year possibly, to continue with the incentive. At the current rate of usage, we could be able to extend it out and make it even a longer program, so.
That's what I'm hoping, because we just really have too much debt right now. We need to somehow figure out how to cut down on that.
And I think it, because looking at the contractors, they're going about the pace they can. And,
Yep, yeah, exactly.
And
So
so-
so it might stretch out.
Right.
And still be helping
and
people,
keep
yeah.
it, and keep it going. So,
Yeah. Well, this is gonna be kind of out of the box, because I am totally for you just keeping that 150,000, but I'm also going, maybe we should just let you have 100 back and 50 we use towards some of our debt. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there, guys.
well, I'm looking at it as they got the 150.
I know, we're not having to borrow
In a
anymore,
way, we still are borrowing that, but it's been set
but
there.
it's not new.
It's old money, but in the end, truthfully, we do have to borrow it to get it back, but
oh, you don't know, it is your
No.
the
money,
program,
it's your
It's
asset.
already there.
right, but in a year and a half or whatever, but
But this one had nothing to do with TIF. This was money that you guys just allocated to us for using that program. So it's, has
Right.
nothing
It's
to do
nothing
with
with
any
TIF.
debt. It's an asset on your books.
Yeah, it's a good thing. That's why I'm like,
I just want that to be
50
clear.
that we could be using
There is
some
no
of
debt
that.
tied to
I'm
it,
not arguing against it.
other than us. It's our debt, it's not yours.
I'm not arguing against it.
no, I'm the one
You
who's
can-
arguing against it.
You
Ironically.
You need an answer from the 3 supervisors. I continue to do what you're doing with it. We're not borrowing against it right now.
Right.
Yet, in a way, we are, but this is one thing that
It's an old
I would
program
go
that's
along
had
with,
success.
yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just didn't want to be irresponsible, and technically, we could loan it out now, but we would have to be coming to you in a couple of years and saying, hey, they can't pay it back yet, can we refinance this for a longer period? I'd rather do that up front than beg for forgiveness later. I'd rather do the responsible thing, so.
Again, the county taxpayers do not have any debt. The windmills, the windmill people basically have some debt. The county taxpayers do not have any debt.
Well, anyways,
I just wanted you to know I'll be bringing it up for a future agenda item. So,
well, I think right now, all 3 kind of sound
Good.
pro for your future on that.
well, and my board just wanted to make sure there was interest in it going forward, because there had been kind of a lull in the request for that program. But since immediately I got an immediate feedback from St. Ansgar, I thought, oh, this would be great. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, okay. Well, anything else from the public?
Well, just one comment again. Last week, when I was reading press news, I see that Lowell, you're looking for another employee. I really wish that we would be informed when you know those things, just giving us a heads up, because when I read it in the paper and if somebody jumps me about it and I have no knowledge of it, I mean, it makes me look stupid. Just, if you, when these type of things come up, I mean, you can drop all of us a line just saying, hey, look, I got an employee quitting, we got an opening, just to give you a heads up.
Well, I guess my opinion is Lowell has a opening he needs to fill. I guess I don't ask,
Well,
you know,
we're the ones that take over, I mean, we're the ones that are responsible for the budget and that. The public feels that we are supposed to know what's going on here at the courthouse. And when it looks like we don't know what's going on here at the courthouse, I mean, that makes us look dumb. I'm sorry.
I appreciate knowing. We usually know. We didn't this time, but we usually know.
I mean, that's nothing, it only takes a minute or two to drop us a line.
I'm sure you will, you have in the past.
It's just kinda like Rich Brown, when he needs somebody, he starts looking. Sheriff Beaver, he needs somebody, you know. If they have an employee
Rich
that's
always
retiring
lets us know.
or leaving or something, I think the managers or the administrators of them positions kinda have the ability to make a decision. We always approve of their hiring.
I don't know that we've always had, I think one or twice we might not have.
I appreciate being let know ahead, just because it is kind of embarrassing when people ask you, and you're like, I have no idea.
Then you come to the apartment.
Yeah, the department heads, they have
And I do.
the power or the ability to make a decision, you know.
I realize that, but it's also good PR to let us know what's going on. We're all part of the organization.
I guess
We don't have to make a big issue of this. I mean, it's not a big issue thing, Steve.
Okay, do we have
Okay.
anything else?
Anything else to discuss?
Nope.
If nothing else to discuss, thank you.